This story is not just about roster changes. It's about how expansion reshapes a team built around a franchise centerpiece like Caitlin Clark. As the Indiana Fever enter the 2026 season, they're no longer simply developing talent. They're managing expectations around a player who has already altered the league's visibility and offensive identity. But just as stability becomes critical in a star-driven system, the WNBA introduces expansion. Two new teams, the Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo, enter the league, and with them comes a redistribution of talent. Expansion drafts are not random disruptions. They are structured mechanisms designed to balance competitiveness across the league. But for teams like Indiana, they force difficult decisions: who to protect and who to risk losing. And in this case, the Fever lost two pieces of their rotation, not headline stars, but players who represented continuity, depth, and system familiarity. That matters more than it appears on the surface. The players Indiana lost, Chloe Bibby and Christy Wallace, were not central stars, but they filled specific roles that every competitive roster depends on. Bibby arrived midseason in 2025, at a time when injuries had already disrupted Indiana's rotation. Her numbers, modest on paper, don't fully capture her value. She provided frontcourt flexibility, spacing, and short-minute stability. For a team adjusting to constant lineup changes, that kind of plug-and-play reliability is essential. Wallace, on the other hand, represents a different kind of loss. She had been with the Fever since 2023, meaning she understood the system, the coaching structure under Stephanie White, and the evolving dynamics around Caitlin Clark. Even though she sat out the 2025 season, her presence still carried institutional value, something expansion drafts often strip away. This is the hidden cost of expansion. Teams don't just lose production, they lose familiarity, communication rhythm, and locker room continuity. And for a team still stabilizing around a generational guard, those details can influence early season performance more than raw talent metrics suggest. What makes this situation more revealing is how Caitlin Clark responded. Her public comments were brief, personal, even casual, but they reflect something deeper about leadership development at this stage of her career. Messages like "My Aussie for Life" and "K-Dub Wiley" are not media-trained statements. They are signals of real locker room connection, and that matters. Clark is no longer just a high-usage guard adjusting to the professional level. Entering her third season, she is transitioning into a central figure in team culture. That shift from individual performance to relational leadership is one of the most important evolutions for any franchise player. Losing teammates tests that transition. It forces a player to re-anchor the locker room, rebuild chemistry, and re-establish trust with new or reshuffled pieces. In a league where roster sizes are small and roles are tightly defined, those interpersonal dynamics carry real competitive weight. So while the comments may seem light, the context is not. This is part of Clark learning how to lead through change, not just perform through it. There's also a timing element here that cannot be ignored. The 2026 season is effectively a reset year for Caitlin Clark after an injury-disrupted 2025 campaign. Despite playing only 13 games, she still made the All-Star team, an indicator of both her impact and the league's recognition of her influence. But availability now becomes the priority. For Indiana, the goal is no longer evaluation, it's progression. And that requires continuity, particularly in the backcourt and offensive system built around Clark's playmaking gravity. Losing rotation players during an expansion cycle complicates that process. It forces the Indiana Fever to recalibrate just as they are trying to stabilize. And early season games will reflect that. When Indiana opens against the Dallas Wings, the focus won't just be on Clark's performance. It will be on spacing, timing, defensive rotations, details that are often disrupted when roster continuity is broken. This is where expansion has its most immediate impact, not in headlines, but in execution. But this story extends beyond Indiana. It connects directly to Caitlin Clark's broader basketball impact, including her college legacy. Even in 2026, coaches are still referencing what she did at Iowa Hawkeyes. Dawn Staley openly admitted that her 2023 Final Four loss still lingers, not because of the result alone, but because of how it happened. Clark's 41-point performance didn't just end an undefeated season for South Carolina Gamecocks. It disrupted what many considered a historically dominant run. And that's the key point. Great players don't just win games, they alter expectations. They force elite programs to reassess assumptions about control, tempo, and defensive certainty. Staley's comments confirm that Clark's influence wasn't temporary. It created a lasting psychological benchmark. Even after South Carolina won a title the following year, that specific loss remained unresolved in a competitive sense. That's rare. It shows that Clark's impact operates on two levels: immediate performance and long-term memory within the sport's highest levels. When you connect both parts of this story, a clearer picture emerges. On one side, Caitlin Clark is navigating the structural realities of the WNBA: expansion, roster turnover, and the challenge of building continuity with the Indiana Fever. On the other, her influence still echoes at the highest levels of college basketball, shaping how elite coaches like Dawn Staley think about pressure, preparation, and missed opportunities. That combination is what defines true star impact. It's not just about statistics or highlight performances. It's about how a player affects systems, decisions, and even memory across different levels of the game. For Indiana, the immediate question is simple: can they rebuild cohesion quickly enough to take the next step? For the league, the question is bigger: how does a rapidly expanding WNBA evolve around a player who is already influencing both its present and its future? And for Clark herself, this season becomes a test of control, not just of the game, but of everything that comes with being at the center of it.